All right, guys, it's that time of the month again. It's what I watched in August. I got a few watches on here. I've watched a lot of short films. I've also been really busy, so yeah, my diaries have definitely been kind of lacking lately. But we're going to go through what I watched. Saw a few films in theaters, so that's always fun. And I have a pile right here, so we'll talk about these films right now. So the first thing that I watched was a short film called Bedfellows, and we were doing the Fright Film Challenge, so I wanted to kind of, watch some short films, get some ideas. And Bedfellows was one of the short films that I watched. It's super short and sweet. It's like 2 minutes long. I liked it. I mean, it does what it's supposed to do. So, I mean, I really can't complain. It's very simple, but again, it's very effective. And then I watched Mama, which I've actually seen the feature film of this, but this is the short film version. And this version, in particular, I really like it because it's all, it's more tense, I think, than the movie, especially with, just it being all in one take, at least from what I remember, most of it is, or if not all of it. And it's just another simple premise, but it's executed so well that it's kind of scary. Well, at least back then it was scary. I don't know, like I didn't personally find it scary now, but I definitely understand the tension. So if you guys have seen the film, definitely check this out. But if you watch this, there is a film that's like a feature length version of it. So, and then I watched the short film He Took His Skin Off for Me. Now, I genuinely really enjoyed this. I thought that this short film was absolutely fantastic. I loved every second of it. Essentially, it's about this man takes his skin off for his wife, basically. It's very metaphorical in a very twisted way. But again, it's one of the better short films that I've ever seen, actually. It's probably one of my favorites. I genuinely really loved it. I think it works better as a short film than it would a feature. I don't think there's a feature to my knowledge. So yeah, it works great as a short film. And then Tuck Me In. This was another one that I really enjoyed. It's super short. It's super sweet. It's kind of like Bedfellows in a way, but I think it's more impactful. I think it's extremely creepy. It's another short film that I don't think would work as a feature. And honestly, I don't think it would work as a 5 minute short film. There's just something about it being like 1 minute long, and you sort of get to watch the interaction between this father and son. And it's so creepy. It's one of the short films, one of the, few pieces of media that's genuinely gotten under my skin. If you guys have not seen Tuck Me In, you should definitely check it out. And then I watched a short film called Still Life, which Still Life is very interesting because it's older, feels very creepypasta-ish. It feels like something that you shouldn't be watching. It's almost like a Twilight Zone episode, which actually, one of the reviews say it right here. But a pill-popping, over-caffeinated driver accidentally hits something, panic-stricken. He searches for help in a strange, desolate town that offers very little in form of human kindness. Again, if you're familiar with the Twilight Zone, this short film does a really great job of kind of bringing back that nostalgia. I used to watch the Twilight Zone whenever I was little, also Tales from Darkness. So this kind of scratched an itch that I didn't know needed to be scratched. And then I watched the short film Cargo, which is another very impactful short film. I don't want to spoil it because it's just one of those short films you want to watch until you get to the end. They did make a feature film for it, and I'm going to probably check it out hopefully here soon, because the short film was enough for me to check it out. But I have heard that the short film is better than the feature film, so I don't know. We'll have to see. It involves zombies. This is a short film that one of my buddies made. I believe he's based out of Louisville. I had a chance to watch this twice. I was involved in a film festival earlier this year, showing off a short film that I had, and this was another short film that played, and I ended up rewatching it. And I actually really enjoyed it. It's very Lynchian. It reminds me of something, from David Lynch's filmography, basically, but it's also very elegant, and I really enjoy the tension that, the short film brought. It could be a little bit biased, just because I don't really know the director that well. Personally speaking, but I definitely respect the filmmaking, and I thought it was a fantastic short film. I definitely recommend it whenever it comes out. And then I had a chance to watch Sorry Baby, which I enjoyed this film more than I thought I was going to. I made a video about this film actually because the coverage is very minimalist. It's a film that's basically told in like close-ups and wides, medium wides basically. It's very simple. The camera's not doing much at all. It's basically just set up doing things a lot of it is in the blocking, but even the blocking is very simple. So it's one of those few films that I've seen personally that I think really does rely a lot on the performances, and it just I mean, executed it very well. If you guys want to know my thoughts on it, you can check out my video for it. I uploaded it not too long ago. And then I watched a short film called Inked, another one that I really enjoy. It involves tattoos. I'm not sure if there's a feature film of this yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone did make a feature film for it. I don't know. It's got enough material there for sure. So it's another short film that I really enjoyed. I've enjoyed going through watching short films. I don't get a chance to do it often, but yeah, I had a chance to this month. And then I watched The Salvation with Mads Mikkelsen. Now, this film I enjoyed more than I thought I was going to. I say that a lot when it comes to films, but the first half of this film, I was gripped. I mean, the first half of this film is a masterpiece, and I think it's a masterclass in revenge storytelling. The interesting thing about The Salvation is it's a Wild West film, and it's a film that honestly, it should have done a lot better than it did. Like, this film kind of proves to me that it doesn't matter if your film is 90 minutes. It doesn't matter how much star power you have in it. It doesn't matter what the film is about. If people are going to watch it, they're going to watch it. And I really wish that more people watch this film, because it is a 90-minute long revenge Western, which is something that I think is very marketable to an extent. But I know it did pretty poor at the box office. I'm not sure how the cult following is, but I love Mads Mikkelsen. I think that it's interesting to see a revenge film, because it's a revenge film about a guy who gets revenge, and then the people get revenge on the guy that gets revenge. It's super interesting. The setup, the premise is very interesting. I liked it a lot, and I'll watch anything that Mads Mikkelsen is in. And then I had a chance to watch Weapons from Zach Cregger. I liked Weapons. I really enjoyed it a lot. I didn't like it better than Barbarian. But I still enjoyed it a lot, and I'll talk about it here in a second, because I ended up watching it again because my wife wanted to go see it. Riders of Justice, this is another Mads Mikkelsen film. I ended up watching this while I was at work, so it's still in its case, but I ended up watching it on Tubi, actually. And I actually loved this film. I thought it was hilarious. For some reason, I think comedies that are out of country are a lot more funnier than the country that I'm in. I don't know. It's just kind of how I don't know. I think they're funny. And I really like the dynamic between all of the characters. Basically, Mads Mikkelsen's wife, she ends up dying in this accident, and he has to rely on some other people to help him kind of solve that accident, and they're looking for someone. It sounds like I'm not really describing it that well, but I hesitate to go into details because I don't know who's seen what. So, to my benefit, I don't spoil it, but also to my failure, I don't get to talk about the film that much. And then I watched Ali, which this was another one that I actually watched while I was out and about. I had it on DVD. Usually a lot of the films that are in my watch pile, if I see them on Tubi or a streaming service, I'll kind of check them out, if I have them on physical media. And this was one that I had like 3 hours on my hands, so I ended up watching it because this is 2.5 hours long. And I love this film a lot. It's so far, Michael Mann is one of my favorite directors. I love the way that he tells stories. I love the way that he edits. He usually focuses a lot on close-ups, but also he focuses a lot on handheld. He's not scared to mix still cinematography in with handheld cinematography. And I do think that sometimes it doesn't work, but sometimes it does work. I do think it works more often than not. And in the case of Ali, it works really well. It took me a second to get into Will Smith's performance as Muhammad Ali, but then once you watch it, it kind of sinks in. And especially if you watch interviews from Muhammad Ali and stuff, it definitely, his performance begins to make a lot more sense. But also the soundtrack is really good too. It has a really banging soundtrack. And then I saw Weapons again. I watched it with my wife. It's funny because 2 reviews that I liked, 1.5, 5. I like Weapons for what it is. The second time that I watched it, I didn't like it any better and I didn't like it any worse. I just thought that, it's a good film, and now I'm going to leave it at that. It's something that I hope I can kind of appreciate as, time goes by, because I'd love to revisit it. I love Zach Cregger. I think he's a fantastic filmmaker. But Weapons, for me, I feel like a lot of the times the way that marketing is done these days, we very much so live in a very marketing-heavy world, and I think that sometimes it can benefit your film in terms of the box office, but at the same time it can kind of hurt it critically, because you never know what the film is about compared to the marketing. But I liked Weapons. I liked it. There's people that like it better than I do, but I enjoyed it. And then I watched The Limey, which it really sucks because Terrence Stamp passed away, and I watched it actually it was actually the day before he passed away, which I thought was pretty wild. But this is another one that I watched while I was out and about, that I've had on DVD for a little bit. And yeah, it was just, I don't know, I was in the mood for some Soderbergh. The editing for this film is almost revolutionary, I think. There's something about Steven Soderbergh and the way that he edits his films. It's just, he's a very strange director. I can't really explain it. Like, he is extremely indie, but then he can be extremely precise. And I don't know, Unsane and Contagion, I think, are masterpieces. I love those films a lot. Steven Soderbergh, it really just depends on what you're looking for. The next three films I'm not going to talk about just yet. Cutting Moments, Home, and Prologue, I'm going to talk about those probably in the next episode that I do of this. These are short films, but they're also in a feature, so we'll talk about that a little bit later. It's a part of a trilogy. And then, speaking of Michael Mann, I finally watched Ferrari, which this was the film that I was missing from his filmography. This film has some pretty emotional moments. It is a biopic, but the thing about Michael Mann is he does biopics in a very interesting way. Like, the way that he does Ferrari and the way that he does Ali is you're basically watching a point in time of their life where he's not trying to tell the whole life story. He might do some interesting things with specific shots and editing where he might show some context on how we get places. But for the most part, especially like Ali in the beginning of this film, you know, like we don't necessarily need to follow the lives of these people. But I think sort of indulging on these key moments of their lives, I think really does sort of bring home, you know, what their story is. So Michael Mann, I think, is really, really good at the biopics that he does. I'm very, very impressed with everything that he does. I mean, there's a scene in Ferrari that is extremely, like, it got to me, and it's towards the end, and I won't spoil it. And then I watched Black Swan in IMAX, which I made a video about, and this film is one of my favorite films of all time. I love this film. Darren Aronofsky is one of my favorite directors ever. Seeing it in IMAX, seeing it in theaters was just a treat. It was almost in a way overpowering because, you know, Darren Aronofsky is another one of those guys where, especially with Black Swan, you know, a lot of it is close-ups, you know, no establishing shots hardly at all, and you're very much so in it with these characters. And I love the way that he builds his scenes, and it engrosses you. You almost feel smothered, and in a way it kind of puts you in the perspective of the character, and you don't get many films like that, and when you do, they for the most part are usually impactful. So it was very nice revisiting this film. And then I had a chance to watch Highest to Lowest, which is Spike Lee's newest film that's a remake of High and Low. I liked it. I personally really enjoyed it. I don't understand the diss for Denzel Washington's performance. I just think that, you know, it's a strange story because you're telling this very mature story about someone being abducted, but then at the same time you're seeing like these family dynamics and you see like friendships, and you're sort of watching all of this unfold behind the actual narrative, which is something that I don't think a lot of people are used to because it's layers. I mean, the film has layers, and I think that's the one thing that I appreciated the most. Like with Spike Lee, you know, I enjoy his films for the most part. Do the Right Thing, I really enjoy, and Malcolm X, I really enjoy, and Highest to Lowest, I feel like sort of, in a way, is in the same vein as those films where it's a little bit more poppy. It's a little bit more, I guess you could say, I don't like using this term, but it's a little bit more bubblegummy, if that makes sense. It's, you know, but I enjoyed it, and I think that, you know, going from high to low and then highest to lowest, you know, it's a big feat, man. Those are big shoes to fill. Those are big socks to fill. And then I watched a short film from my good buddy Dylan Young. Sorry for the Mess. This is, you know, it's a very, you know, I mean, some people might even say it's controversial, but it really does tackle mental health in a very small and contained way. And I think it, you know, Dylan executed it perfectly. I enjoy watching his work whenever, you know, I come across it. And if you guys can, you know, come across it as well, definitely check it out. This frustrates me. No Other Land. This is so hard to find. It is so hard to watch this movie. I'm not going to get into any politics whatsoever about what's going on in the world, but No Other Land is set, you know, it's in Palestine, and it follows the conflict that's going on there. And I think that this documentary, the thing that I like about it the most is it's not gruesome, it's not graphic, but it's graphic in the nature of the storytelling, because you're sort of seeing what's going on with this family and these families and their homes, and it's like regardless of the situation, you know, it's adding a very humane element to the story. It's just I mean, you don't really know what to take from it in the end, because you know, you can't, some people can't imagine themselves in this position, and I think stuff like this is very healthy to kind of watch and to sort of not necessarily form your own opinion, but to sort of take what's going on in the world and kind of, in not necessarily embracing it, but you know, it's very much so important to be knowledgeable about what's going on. And I know that when you watch a documentary, it's a very subjective view of an event that's going on, but at the same time, you know, it's more informative than not being informed, you know. So I would encourage anybody to seek out No Other Land. It's kind of frustrating that it's not available to watch. And then I watched a short film called They Hear It, which is actually, I think, being adapted into a feature film. And this is another one. I liked it, you know, I'm gonna leave it at that. It's atmospheric for sure. I don't think I understood it as much as other people did, but you know, I think that's a fair point. And then the final one I want to talk about is Caught Stealing from Darren Aronofsky. I made a video about this. If you guys want to check it out, this is my favorite film of the year so far as recording this video. You know, I love Darren Aronofsky. He's one of my favorite directors, but also this film tonally is so different from everything that he's done. It's kind of baffling, if I'm being honest. But I love seeing directors step out of their comfort zone. And Darren Aronofsky said he just wanted to have fun making this film. So, you know, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. It's just one of those, I think it's a perfect film. I loved it to death. And my top four of the month, Black Swan, Caught Stealing, Ali, and Riders of Justice. Also, some pickups that I got. I ended up getting Bring Her Back, the A24 edition. I ended up getting A Different Man, the A24 edition. I ended up getting Death of a Unicorn, the A24 edition. And then I ended up finding The Hunt. I actually found this. I actually watched it not long ago, and I ended up finding it, so it's kind of like in this pile. What else? I ended up picking up The Phoenician Scheme. Really enjoyed this one. I ended up picking up the big boy Michael Haneke box set. Michael Haneke, again, another one of my favorite directors. Ended up getting the Steelbook of the first Conjuring in 4K. I love The Conjuring. I love the first Conjuring film. I have so many fond memories with it. And then the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D in 4K. I ended up getting that because I have more fond memories of that film as well. So yeah, I guess there was a lot of shit to talk about this month. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a thumbs up and maybe subscribe. Let me know what you guys watched in the month of August. And here is the Rocky Wake teaser trailer.
Have to go missing before law enforcement gets their heads out their asses. How many? Let me ask you something. Do you lose sleep? I mean, do you lay awake at night thinking about everything that goes on in the world around you? To anyone listening right now, we don't need a sheriff that hides behind curtains. We need someone who has a family of their own. Someone who has something to lose, not someone who can lose everything and still live the same life they've been living all these years. Until the monster that's taken everything we love, that's put this town that we've all grown up in despair, until he's caught, you may as well be the monster yourself.